Okay, so welcome to everyone from all around the world. My name's Bhante Akaliko. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a queer Buddhist monk and I'm the founder of Rainbodhi. And it's so good to see you all here today from wherever you are, beaming in together. I'm really glad that we can be here together at this time. And it's been a difficult time with COVID. Many of us perhaps are used to being a little bit more free with our traveling. I was just saying before, here in Sydney, we've been in lockdown, so there hasn't been a lot of travel. And as always, I'd like to begin our Rainbodhi events by acknowledging the place that I'm speaking to you from. So I'm on unceded Virabhadra land of the Darug Nation. So this is something we do in Australia. We acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, which was colonized. And we acknowledge the elders from the past, present, and also the future elders, and pay our respects to all of those. And I extend this respect to all First Nations people who are gathered here today. Especially thinking about travel and thinking about how easy it is and how privileged some of us are to be able to travel and how difficult it is for other people to travel. Even the idea of a pilgrimage, which we'll be exploring today, is something which, when it's overseas, becomes a financial barrier for many, despite perhaps the spiritual desire to go to those places. And so the idea behind this session today was to find out if we can virtually do a pilgrimage. And so we're going to be joined by our wonderful tour guide, Kyle Neo. And Kyle is a dear friend of Rainbodhi. He's a person who, I just think, oh, there you go. He's a person who has a long history in being a Buddhist tour guide, and he's taken people to the holy sites of India and also shown people around the temples of Chiang Mai. And so he's a person who's interested in the symbolism of temple architecture, the stories behind the images of the murals on the walls of these places. And by doing this work, he's learned a lot about Buddhist culture, Buddhist history, and of course, the Dharma. He's also a graphic designer, and he writes and edits and produces a beautiful magazine called Kusala Mag, which I'll share with you later on. So it's my pleasure to welcome Kyle and to thank you for being here today and for sharing the Dharma with us and for taking us on a journey away from whatever place we're in and taking us to something which can not only delight our eyes and tempt our senses, but also nourish our minds. And that is these holy places of the Buddha, these sacred Buddhist sites. So Kyle, thank you so much for being here, and over to you. Take us away on a journey.
Thank you so much, Bhante. Thank you, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. And hello, everyone. You guys can hear me well, right? Good? Okay, great. Well, I'm Kyle. As Bhante has introduced me, I come from a country that loves to sing. No, not like Philippines, not anywhere, but Singapore. So that is pun intended, Singapore. I started my journey as a Buddhist guide, and ever since, I'm fascinated by the history of Buddhism and the breathtaking sights of the temples. Don't you feel like every time when you go into a temple or you go to a Buddhist place, just the vibe and the energy is just so serene and peaceful? And because of that, that inspired me to travel around the world for the past 10 years to just visit any Buddhist sites around the world. And because of that, I was so-called inspired, you know, with all the travel places. And I decided to write a book called 108 Places to See Before Nirvana. So, you know, in case some people have a book called 1001 Places to See Before You Die, which is so pessimistic. So why don't I write a book that it says 108 Places to See Before Nirvana? And so today, this is not a Dharma talk. So we are going on the tour. So you guys relax. It's not serious, you know. So you can just relax a bit in your setting. And I'm not a monk as well, so you don't have to greet me very formally, you know. So, you know, you can sit back and relax. And pilgrimage, Buddhist pilgrimage, usually takes the most 11 to 14 days, which is so long because of the distance and because there's so much to see. So take note that the tour today is only 1.5 hours. So I'm going to be very concise. It's not going to be comprehensive. So I'm just going to highlight some of the main things that you're going to see in all the pilgrimage sites. And also, there won't be a Q&A session at the end. Why? Because if you're going on the tour, you don't have a Q&A like at the end of your tour. So you can ask any question by typing it on the chat, and I will look at it accordingly and try to answer in my best possible self. And do switch on your video so I can interact with you like how we do in the tour. So I can have the eye contact virtually from all the way up above, because most of you are from down under, so I'm up above. So, and if you have any Dharma questions, I have Bante Apaliko with us. So if there's any Dharma question, I'll just push to him. Yeah. And in order to ensure how in-depth I should go with this tour, I'm going to start with a bit of ice breaking. So I'll ask the question and hopefully you can answer it in the chat. So I will know how deep I should go with my tour. Now, the first question is, at what age did the Buddha Mahabodhi, which means the great departure from his physical body? At what age? If you don't know, you can type don't know. That works well with me as well. Perfect. I'm seeing very interesting answer. Some of them have half the age. Perfect. Awesome. Great. So you see, I'm going to tell you later. All right, the second question. At what age did he leave the palace to seek for the truth or seek for his life purpose? At what age did he leave the palace to seek for the truth and his life purpose? Woo, good answer from there. All right, great. I roughly know what kind of tour I'm going to give right now. And trust me, your answer will be revealed in one of the historical sites. Now, for every tour to begin with, there's always a briefing. So I would like to brief you before you come to India. I want to make it official because it just sounds like you're really going into India soon, which is tomorrow. So one of the few tips I would like to guide or share with you in India is please watch out for your pickpockets. Keep your valuables with you all the time. Carry a hand sanitizer and toilet paper with you. Don't expect things to happen on time. In India, it doesn't work. They are always never on time. And I wouldn't dare to say they are fashionably late as well. All right. And then drink lots of water. The weather is going to be hot. And when you buy the mineral water, the bottle of mineral water, please check the bottle cap if it's tightly sealed, because you might actually get a recycled water somewhere from where I don't know. And then also go to the bank for money exchange and bring some diarrhea pills or tablets with you. All right? Because in India, anything is possible. I just have to say that, isn't it? To make you feel like you're going to India. All right. And then a few things to take note. In all the Buddhist sites, there's always beggars that will come to beg you for money. As much as we are using a lot of compassion from Buddhism that we have been practiced, I do advise everyone to actually apply some wisdom with it as well. One of the few tips that I would usually do is I like to keep a lot of food with me. So in case if they're begging you for things, I would rather give them food rather than just the money. So these are some of the things. And of course, very, very important, some of the temple etiquettes. So when you visit all the historical sites, especially the Buddhist sites, please cover yourself and dress conservatively. Take off your shoes before you enter a temple. Take off your hat and sunglasses as well. Be respectful when you're doing photography, because you wouldn't want to put your hand around the Buddha statue and say, hey, buddy, how are you? And also, in most of the Buddhist sites, right, you do need to deposit your shoes. Yes, you heard it right. So before you go into any of the Buddhist site, you have to deposit your shoes and unfortunately your mobile phone. But you could always pay a little bit extra just to bring your mobile phone in. All right, are you ready for the tour? As we do the debrief, are you ready to take on the flight and fly to India right now? All right, get ready. Now I am going to say, dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kyle, your Buddhist guide for this pilgrimage. I've been a Buddhist guide for the past 15 years. I do Buddhist temples, tours and museum tours in Singapore, India, and Thailand. And today we'll be flying to incredible India. Now, what makes it incredible for me in India is that a wise, inspiring, and enlightening man used to live and teach in India before. Anyone know the name of this teacher? Anyone? Yes, that's right. That is the Buddha. Buddha means the awakened one. All right? Buddha, the awakened one. And what? You mean Buddha is not, it's real? It's not God? It's not a divine being? Yes, he is actually not God at all. So that is why when we are doing the pilgrimage, we are literally going back to the places he once lived, teach, and walk. In this earth, he is as real as he can be. And in the Pali Tipitaka, the oldest surviving body of Buddhist scriptures, the Buddha speaks specifically about the importance of pilgrimage. According to the Buddha, under the Mahabodhi Sutta, he said that practitioners should try to make a pilgrimage to one of the 4 holy sites in their lifetime. The journey must be made with a devout heart and bring various benefits to one's spiritual growth. So, which are the 4 sites? We will find out later. So, please bring an open mind and a joyful and positive attitude to this tour. There are no strangers in this tour, only unknown best friends or enemies. Regardless, you choose how you want them to be. And are you ready? So I will start off by sharing you with the map of where we will be going. Anybody can see the map right now? Good? See the screen? Perfect? Can you see the map? Oh, probably because they are not shared with, hold on, give me a minute. And then, there you go. Can everyone see the map right now? Okay, great. So we will alight in Lucknow. Lucknow is the closest to where Bodh Gaya is. It's in India, of the middle part of India. And from Lucknow, we'll travel all the way to Varanasi, which is here. And from here, that is where we will visit the first site, which is Satnav. Satnav is just the deer park where the Buddha did his first teaching or the turn of the Dharma wheel. And after that, we go to Bodh Gaya. And from Bodh Gaya, we go to Nananda, Rajagrid, and then I will go all the way up to Kushinagar. And from Kushinagar, we finally reach to the last historical sites of the pilgrimage, which is Lumpini. Now, let's just take a look at this map. All right? It might seem like very close, but it's not close. Now, can you imagine Buddha walk from places to places with his legs, with his feet, throughout all these places for 80 years? So this is something incredible that when I think back, like how he's so motivated to travel all these different places by foot just to teach Dharma, just really inspire me, right? Okay, and then Now we will be heading out to the first pilgrimage site, which is Satnav, the Deer Park. I'm going to do something very interesting, which people don't usually do in Zoom. So just give me some time to find that picture. Ta-da! Are you able to see my background right now behind me? So you can't shake me off right now, because usually people share the slides, right? But no, I'm just going to let you see my face the whole time. Perfect. So do you know where we are right now? Okay, so we are right now at our first pilgrimage site, which is Satnav, which is called the Deer Park. Deer Park, but there's no deer there. Oh dear, because it used to be a lot of deer when Buddha was teaching. However, as time goes by, they might be hunted or they might be extinct. So please conserve the places you are right now. So in front of you is the most striking monument in Satnav today, and that is called the Dhamma Stupa. The stupa is a solid cylinder of bricks and stone reaching a height of 43.6 meters, having a diameter of 28 meters. According to the inscription marked in 1026 AD, the stupa stand on the sides of the old stupa. So previously there's another stupa, but because it collapsed, so right now they built another stupa on top of an old stupa called the Dhamma Chakra Stupa. And this stupa is very important. Why is this the first pilgrimage site? Because this is where Buddhism found the triple gems. I'm sure every one of you are Buddhist enough to know what is triple gems, right? The triple gems is the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So this spot marks the beginning of the complete trinity of the Buddha, which he was the real person, the Dhamma, which is the teaching. And because when he did his first teaching in Satnav, it formed the triple gem, which is the Sangha. So after the Buddha achieved enlightenment at Bodhgaya, he scoured the surroundings for potential disciple who could understand his teaching. And he remembered these 5 followers he used to spend the time with in the forest before he gained enlightenment. And he saw them all residing near the Deer Park. So the Buddha went to Satnav, which is, the Deer Park, and he started to deliver the first sermon to the 5 disciples. Now, if you are truly a Buddhist, could you please type in and tell me what is the first sermon called? What did he first teach? Anyone knows? Any idea? Oh, Bante, not fair. You can't answer it. It's supposed to be for them. Okay, right. So, sorry, Bante, I shouldn't yell at you. I apologize. Yeah. Okay, so yes, Bante is right. It's called the Dhamma Chakra Padana Sutta, and which means the setting in motion of the wheel of the Dhamma Sutta. And during these sermons, the Buddha taught the 4 Noble Truths. And because the 4 Noble Truths is the first teaching, that's why as all Buddhists, we all know the 4 Noble Truths more vividly than any sutra. And one of the things I would like to point out with you, like you can see behind me, is the stupa itself has a very significant meaning. Right in the past, where there is no Buddha images, there is only stupa that represent the Buddha. So there is no worshipping, there is nothing at all. So they only have the stupa as a significant part of a symbol that represent the Buddha. So in the past, if you want to see the Buddha, you can only go to a stupa, or you have to find the footprints, or you have to find the lotus as a symbol, or you find something like an empty throne, which is a seat which is empty, that represents him. So that is why stupa is very much significant in all Buddhism aspect, because stupa is the first representation of Buddha before there is any image, right? And then, because that is why somehow, if you ask me, then how did we have our first image of Buddha? Where did it come from? Well, because of time, I'm just give you a clue so you can do a bit of research. The first image of Buddha comes from a place called Gandhara. All right, Gandhara. And just be a bit curious, anyone would like to guess, where is Gandhara right now? Anyone know where is Gandhara right now? Which country is it in right now? Anyone knows? Oops. Move microphone away. Oh, Sri Lanka. Anyone want to make a few guesses? Someone has been studying. Perfect. Yes, it's actually right now in Afghanistan, in a country which is predominantly Muslim right now. So the first Buddha images come from Gandhara. Right, if you want to know more, you have to check it out yourself now, all right, to do the Google research. Then after this, when Buddha did his first teaching, right, and then there is a lot of times where these places it is just gone. Like all these historical sites like Satnav is only discovered by the British during the early 1900s. So right now, that is why when you see from my background, it is really quiet. It is nothing very glorious. It is very peaceful because there's lots of greenery. And most of the things that is from the historical side has moved to the museum. So I encourage you later, if you have some time, please visit the museum in Satna because some of the artifacts are actually still maintained and contained in the museum. All right, so are you ready for our next stop? The next stop is the highlight of the trip. Without that place, we probably won't have any Buddha. So let me again change my background. Okay, so you are in the Bodhgaya. That is behind me, the Mahabodhi Temple. Oh, I should go this side. And that is the Mahabodhi Temple. So if you can see, Mahabodhi Temple, Maha means big, Bodhi means the Bodhi tree, right? So that's why we call it the Mahabodhi Temple. And Bodhgaya, in this place, is the place where we can find the actual Bodhi tree where the Shakyamuni Buddha sat and attained enlightenment, or we call it Nirvana. All right? And I would like to just ask a few questions, anyone know what is Nirvana? Does Nirvana means like, oh, there is a spotlight coming from somewhere that shines on the Buddha, and then the flowers, petals starts to, rain down, and, well, Nirvana means enlightenment, right? But in actual fact, Nirvana means that the end of any cycle of existence, which means that you do not have any rebirth again. So that is something I would like to share with you because our ultimate aim, our goal as a Buddhist is really to attain Nirvana so we can get out of the samsaric world and then we don't have to rebirth again. So this is the site where Mahabodhi Mahavira, so the tall building that you see behind me right now, that is called the Mahabodhi Mahavira. Maha, so Maha means huge. Vihara means like a temple. So a reconstruction of an ancient shrine built to commemorate the seat of the enlightenment. Now today, the Mahabodhi Temple and its surroundings is managed by the Bodhgaya Temple Management Community. And I would like to specify as well, the Temple Management Committee means that they're actually mostly Thai people. So that is why if later on you see the picture, inside the temple, all the architecture is pretty much very Thai influenced. And it's a non-profit organization. And in 2002, Mahabodhi Temple actually was officially inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now let me show you another picture. Sorry, I need to change this all the time. Okay, if you see the picture behind me, that is where you are directly going towards the central part of the temple. So you see the long pathway that goes in, that is where the front of the temple, right? And then it is the oldest living temple in the world. And the current structure was reconstructed again because of the, impermanence, everything gets old, right? But because of the things that, we discovered, and as for all Buddhist sites, they really want to take care and conserve the place, especially for this such important place in Bodhgaya. And because that is where the Buddha gained enlightenment. All right. And then let me show you another screen again. Ta-da. Right. So when you go into the temple, you will see this. Can anyone see the one behind me? So when you enter the temple, this is what you see. You will see the Buddha image. Right. And then for all of us, we know that Buddha image is pretty much very significant as a symbol for his personality, for his qualities. So when we actually see the Buddha image, we are actually not worshipping, but we're actually thinking and remind of ourselves that the quality that Buddha has, his teaching. And usually from outside the temple, there'll be a long queue coming into the way to pay their respect and do the prostration. And this is where I'm going to change another, no, I'm going to talk about the Buddha image of, do you see the hand mudra right now behind me? Do you see the one that his hand is touching like this? Right? That is called the Earth Witness Mudra, or we call it the Pumispara Mudra. So Earth Witness Mudra means that at the time when he's attaining enlightenment, there is a group of evil armies called the Mara, all right? And the Mara is basically a symbolism of something evil. In actual fact, I believe the Mara is where we created our own state of mind where you have the devil inside of you. And so there is a story saying that when the Buddha was trying to gain enlightenment, the Mara tried to influence him, stop him from gaining enlightenment. So they were trying to get the army to shoot an arrow right towards the Buddha, but doesn't work. And then try to seduce the Buddha with 3 beautiful daughters of Mara, doesn't work. Now, I can, get out of my lust. I can get out of my, violence or anger. What do you think is the worst thing or hard to get rid of defilements that we have? Anyone want to guess which is the hardest? That is the ego. And why do I ask this question? So, at the end, Mara has no idea how to stop the Buddha from gaining enlightenment. So he asked the Buddha this question. He pointed to the Buddha and said, hey, this is my seat. Don't you dare sit under the tree. That's my seat. Get lost. Who is your witness? Tell me, who is your witness? And the Buddha was in his very peaceful state. And he looked around. There is nobody. He looked at the sky, too high to reach. I know, the earth will be my witness. So he touched the earth and asked the earth to be his witness of his enlightenment. And their story goes that when there is a goddess of earth came out right there under the ground and start to have this long wet hair, washing away all the Mara troops. This is predominantly in Thai temple. If you see a lady with a long hair, usually if you go to Thai temple, that is Mahabodhi, which is the goddess of earth. So that is why I need to explain to you on the Earth Witness Mudra part. And this style is very much in a way that you see the Buddha body is very slim, narrow to the waist. It's very Thai influence. And usually you will also take note that the robe, if you can see very clearly the robe, do you think he is a Theravadian or Mahayana monk? He is where a shoulder is exposed, so that is pretty much a Theravada robe. Perfect. Thank you, Bante. So that is why somehow you see, with all the Buddha images, we can see so much and talk and really go into the details of what the symbolism is and the story is all about. Now I'm going to switch on to one of the things that the Buddhists usually do when they are in the temple. Give me a minute to change the... Are you able to see right now behind me? There's a video. Perfect. All right. So if you can see behind me right now, there is a monk. Guess what he's doing? He is changing the robes for the Buddha. So one of the things that usually do not practice very commonly is offering robes to the Buddha. You can go to the temple to offer flowers. You can go to the temple to offer lights. But root offering is very significantly only in Mahabodhi Temple. And usually, trust me, before COVID time, every 3 minutes, the root will change. Why? Because there's so many people waiting behind to make the root offerings. And now you can see everyone around the Mahabodhi Temple inside, all the monks from different traditions or tourists, they're all doing chanting inside the Mahabodhi Temple. So it's very, very significant. So I really recommend you, if you're going with a group next time to Mahabodhi Temple, when you are there, use it as a purification by changing the robe. Why not think about it as cleaning yourself, purify yourself, making a new, putting your heart into a new refreshed state of mind, So that is something. All right. And I think we done. All right. Let me just try and change another background right now. And then I want to pinpoint with you on certain things. Okay, great. Are you able to see the new picture right now? Perfect. All right. So behind me right now, all right, because we talk about the tree, isn't it? All right, we talk about the tree. So located at the back of the Mahavihara Temple is the Bodhi tree, the tree that the Buddha sat and gained enlightened. So do you see that big tree behind me coming out from the structure? All right. So the original Bodhi tree, sadly, is no more. So the current Bodhi tree is a direct descendant of the original tree. So that is like a sampling. All right. And Bodhi tree, which we all know why this is such an important tree, because our organization is also called Rainbodhi. So Bodhi means wisdom. And Bodhi tree is pretty much significant to wisdom, because that is where the Buddha gained enlightenment. You need wisdom to gain enlightenment. So I always say, no trees, no Buddha. Because everywhere he goes, all the 4 major sites later on you'll see, he is always under the tree, right? And then this is the part where you can see behind here, a lot of people will sit right in the front where they will do meditations and where they actually do a lot of chanting. So they just stare right into the tree. I'm going to change another picture right now. I'm going to show you a very sneak preview that usually, even if you're there, you might not be able to see it. Okay, now behind me, I'm going to show here. Are you able to see something behind me here? Right there? Here? Okay, that is the actual seat or the actual place where the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree. It's right now somehow covered with a nice shelter, like a little pavilion, like a little roof there. So inside the structure that we saw just now is this place where that is the actual seat of the Buddha, which gained enlightenment. I have heard a lot of great story there. One of the great story that I heard was that a lot of people, when they go to Bulgaria, they felt a sense of closeness, a sense of renunciation. So a lot of people tend to go there and meditate. They feel that the energy level and the vibe is very different from anywhere they have meditated. So this is where we are going to, do a bit of meditation right now, if you're okay with it, because right now we are in Bulgaria and it's really, really meaningless if we are here in such a very important place and not be able to do some meditation. So could I ask everyone, okay, to find a very comfortable posture, all right? And if you can't meditate, that's fine. Just be aware of where you are right now, where your body is lying right now. And we will do a very short 10 minutes of Pipasana meditation. Pipasana is the oldest of Buddhist meditation practice, and it comes from the Satipatthana Sutta, which is the foundations of mindfulness practice. Pipasana means seeing things as they really are. To be more specific, it involves observing your thoughts and emotions as they are, without judging or dwelling on them. So if everyone is ready, I hope you guys have found a very comfortable position, posture, a place to sit. Imagine right now you are in front of Bodhgaya. In front of you is the Bodhi tree that the Buddha sat on and gained enlightenment. If you can cross your legs, fine. If you can't, just relax. Engage your core, straighten your back, but relax your body. Relax your shoulders. You are not rushing anywhere. There's nowhere to go. You are in the here and now. And take one deep breath. Feel the air surrounding you. Feel your surrounding even though you can't see it. Feel the air surrounding your nose. Focus the breath. Focus how naturally you are breathing. Observe it. And how do you feel? Do you feel tired? Do you feel at peace? Observe all these emotions, the feelings that arises. Don't have to label them, but just observe. Observe the thoughts that comes in, any feelings or sensations, but without reacting to it, without judging it. Think of the surrounding as a very positive, conducive energy. Nothing will go wrong with your surroundings. There's nothing to fear. So you can put your mind at ease. Observe whatever that is arising. And if you slowly drifted away, mindful of each breath. Start from how you inhale and exhale. And then slowly get into the state of mind. There is really nothing to hold on to because there is nothing that belongs to me. Only my thoughts, only the feelings, and only the sensations. But that doesn't belong to me either. It comes and it goes. So mindfully take a step back and just observe all these emotions that's arising. You don't have to participate with it. You can just take a deep look at it and penetrate it to see where did it arises. And if you started to drift again, take note on your breathing. Go back to your breathing. How the body is inhaling and exhaling. Yes. The space is what you imagine it to be. So if you can have the right mindset that no space is a way for you to get through it, then you can get through it. So the space is just what your perception is. Slowly come back to your breathing again. All right. I know it's very peaceful right now. And everyone is wishing that they are right now in Bulgaria. I've heard some messages saying that it will be much more peaceful if I'm there in person. Well, you make your own Bulgaria inside your heart. I think that would be a more wishing I was enlightened. Well, we are always on our way. Always on our way, you know. All right, great. All right, so I'll continue again. You know, the show has to go on, but I do feel like you have the idea of how it really felt when you are in Bulgaria, because truly that was what everyone will be doing in Bulgaria. All right, so back to other parts of Bulgaria. I think because there's a shortage of time, so I'm going to just go through it a little bit. I'm just going to go and show you this part here. Okay, in the Bulgaria, there's actually 7 different parts of Bulgaria that represent the 49 days after his enlightenment. So it was stated that after the Buddha attained enlightenment, the Buddha spent 49 days contemplating on his enlightenment. And he spent these 7 weeks at 7 locations. So in Bulgaria, where the Mahabodhi Temple is, there is 7 specific locations where he contemplate and meditate. And one of the things that you see behind me right now, in front of you right now, is called the Chakram Mana. It's called the Cloister Walk. It faces the north and stands elevated on a stone platform. So why is that like a round thing with lotus, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, behind there? You see behind me, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a little round thing. So that actually symbolized that the Buddha was here 7 weeks, 7 days to do walking meditations after he gained enlightenment. And the lotuses, which is the round thing, in this walkthrough are believed to be the places where the Buddha has stepped on it. So I'm going to just show you another image to let you have a closer look on it. Is it much better in this picture? Are you able to see behind me? And people also make offerings there. Offerings on the steps, the footsteps where the Buddha did the meditation. All right. And then I also want to show you another place in the Buddha's in Bulgaria where he also spent 7 days. And this is to me one of the places where I find it very meditative, because there's a pond here, like a little lake here behind me. So why is the story behind this? And what is this thing behind here? All right. So do you see a serpent on top of the Buddha? Okay, so it was said that the Buddha spent 7 days here, and then at that time when he was meditating and he is contemplating after the enlightenment, there's a very huge rain. So the rain was pouring and there was nowhere to hide, and the Buddha was totally soaked and drenched. And there comes a water serpent called the mucha, lina. He came around and lift up the Buddhas where he sit, coil 3 rounds, and use his head to shelter the Buddha. So that's why you see the serpent head is on top of the Buddha. So that is how you shelter the Buddha from the rain. So this is why in this place it's called the Mucha Lina Lake. It's still in the Mahabodhi Temple complex. So it's something that you can also take note on it, because I find it very reflective, or it's just so nice to be in front of a lake, you know, especially meditating. And that is why I find that when you want to do something towards your goal as a Buddhist, there is always somehow a protection. I don't know if you feel it. Like when I see it, I always feel like I can become fearless of what I face, because when I have the Dharma with me, I'm always fully protected. I might not have the serpent king behind me to protect me, but I always feel that because of Dharma, I always feel protected. Regardless what adversary that I face, I always feel I'm protected by the Dharma. So when I see the serpent king, it actually reminds me of a Dharma protection. And then after the great storm had cleared, the serpent king assumed his human form, bowed before the Buddha, and returned in joy to his palace. And these Buddha images, which is the Buddha sitting with the serpent covering and sheltering the Buddha, is very predominantly seen in Laos and Thailand. You want to know why? Because this Buddha image is for people who are born on Saturday. So in Thailand, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, each day you are born in has a specific Buddha image in his own mudra. So this image is for people who are born on a Saturday. So believe it or not. All right. So I hope you all have an enlightening experience with me in Bulgaria now, but it's time to move on, and I realize there is not much time. So I'm just going to quickly run through a place called the Nananda, because Nananda is pretty much a very special place. Let me show you Nananda. Okay, Nananda here. All right, I'm going to do a quick one. Okay, Nananda behind me, as you can see, is a very important site. Although it is not one of the 4 historical sites the Buddha recommend to go, but I felt that as a Buddhist, we all have to go there, because if not for Nananda University, all the Buddhism that you are actually learning right now will not be able to spread far to your country. For example, Nananda University is where it's not one of the oldest, it's the oldest university in the whole world. And it started in 3rd century CE to even 543 CE. So which means that that whole place is a world-class institute. In the past, 9 million books, 10,000 students, 2,000 teachers. What did they do? They all study Dharma. So this is like a Buddhist center, like a Buddhist institute where you only learn Dharma. And because it's such a supreme center of learning, between 5th to 12th century, is where all the scholars from China, from Sri Lanka, from anywhere around the world who knows about Buddhism or the Dharma will go all the way to India, travel by foot, not by airplane, cross the oceans, cross the borders from land, from desert, all the way here to just learn the Dharma. So what they can do is, because they have learned the Dharma, they are able to bring the authentic, the legit Dharma back to their own country again and spread the Dharma. So I find this very, very important, even though right now it's still, it is not something that is very glorious, but it just has a specific meaning. And as we speak right now, there are conservations in the Nananda site, and they are also building up a new Buddhist institute that is going to house anyone who is interested in Dharma to come here and study again. So they are going to bring back the glory of Dharma studies to Nananda. And one of the things that you will also take note was there is a place in the Nananda, there is a stupa. There's a stupa called the Sariputra Stupa. Why I wanted to say the Sariputra Stupa? Because as much as I always feel inspired by the Buddha's teaching, I'm always inspired by the Buddha's disciple stories. And when I was reading all the disciple story, one of the disciple, which is called Sariputra, like captured my attention because he is one of the chief disciple of Buddha. And because there is nowhere we can see a temple that is just commemorating that Arahat or that enlightened being, Sariputra. So in that, you can only see the only stupa in the whole world where you can see the Sariputra stupa, where his relics is still there. So I went to search for the Sariputra stupa just to be in the Nananda. And also, this is the place where a lot of people doing debates. Like, why I said debates? Because in the past, even though Buddhism is such a profound philosophy, by having debate in that institute, it allows you to know how well your Dharma knowledge is. And because of that, a lot of Vajrayana, which is the school of the diamond vehicle, the Vajrayana Buddhism, a lot of their teachers or scholars come from Nananda, like Nagarjuna, Shantideva, Atisha. So without all these Indian scholars that is graduated from the Nananda, Vajrayana Buddhism would not exist because these are the founder, they are the original of translating all the Dharma language into Sanskrit. And that is where the place where the first Mahayana scripture in Sanskrit developed from, like the Lotus Sutra and everything. Unfortunately, in 1173, the Turkish Muslim invaders kind of burned it and destroyed the whole Nananda Institute. And because also at that time, Buddhism study is not something that people want to do again. As a result, it goes to ruins. But fortunately, the discoverer, the explorer found it back again. And there's also a museum that you can actually see right across the Nananda Institute, where you can learn more about the artifacts and the history of Nananda. All right, great. Now, we have to go next to our next place, which is called the Vulture Peak. Give me a minute. And this is perhaps one of the most beautiful places in the Buddhist pilgrimage site. So behind me, do you see like a mountain behind? Do you see something over there? Right? That is called a Vulture Peak. And then it's a very long way up, okay? So it's a mountain, right? So you have two ways to go up there. Number one, you can choose to go with this very traditional cable car ride. Are you able to see this lady behind me that is like legs hanging out of the cable car? I find it scary. Seriously. At that time when I was taking the cable car, you know what happened? Out of nowhere, it stops. It stops. I was hanging up there for almost 20 minutes. And because it's not covered, so your legs are dangling down at the cable car. So you have two ways to go up there. You can choose the adventurous one, like this one, the cable car, or you can do a long journey up and go by the stairs all the way up and almost reaching to the peak. And that is where you see behind me. That is the Sariputra cave. That is the cave where one the Arhat sit there and also did his meditation and also have a very important aspect in the Mahayana Sutra, one of the most important sutra called the Heart Sutra. And then you see this is where the peak is right now. Great. Everyone saw it? Perfect. That's why I told you this is the most scenic site. And then it's just so breathtaking. So one of the things that people usually do when they are in a Vulture Peak, I'm not too sure if you understand the Heart Sutra. Heart Sutra is in Sanskrit, and Heart Sutra is actually more on the basis of anatta, which is emptiness. And Heart Sutra has a very profound aspect of it. And people who come to Vulture Peak, they usually will chant the Heart Sutra. So in another way, to do it in a way that we are doing the tour, I would like you to chant with me a very short version of the Heart Sutra. And then we will just meditate on what the script is and what the sutra is and the background of the voucher pig, and we'll do it. All right, let me just share with you. Right, where is the Heart Sutra? Are you able to see this? The PDF? Okay, sorry. Are you able to see this? The PDF? Perfect. So I would like you to imagine that we are now at voucher pig. And then if you could just bring your arms together. All right. And we will recite the Heart Sutra together. If you like, you can unmute yourself and you can say it with me. So first thing, we prostrate to the Arya Triple Champ, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagawan was dwelling at mass of Vultures Mountains in Rajagrid, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of the phenomenon called profound perfection. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva, Mahastava, Arya, Avalokiteshvara look upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Sariputra say this to the Bodhisattva Mahastava, Arya Avalokiteshvara: how should any son of lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that. And the Bodhisattva Mahastava Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to Venerable Sariputra. Sariputra: any son of the lineage of daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty. Emptiness is form. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Sariputra: likewise, all phenomena are emptiness without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Sariputra: therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Sariputra: therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattva rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of Nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to the unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Sariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that. It is like that one should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan, having thus spoken, the Venerable Sarasvatiputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in the entirely, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Kate kate, paru kate, porosan kate, bodhisoha. Alright, so that is the Heart Sutra. And that is one of the Heart Sutras that take place at Virabhadra Peak behind me, that was spoken by the Buddha. Sadhu, sadhu. Alright, then next. Going. Alright, and now we're going to go to the next stop, which is the... I'm citing because everything born has to come to an end. So our next stop is the Kushinagar. So Kushinagar is actually the place where the Buddha passed away. At the age of 80, okay, Buddha was said to have lay between two sala trees at Kushinagar. We don't call it passing away, we call it Mahaparinibbana. All right? And he informed his disciple of his departure, saying that he's going to go away. He also advised of the 4 places that the Buddhist should visit, which is the one that I've mentioned to you. So before he passed away, he took his last breath and he said his last word. Subject to change are all conditioned things. Strive on with diligence. I find it very sentimental when I was in Kushinagar, because I think that even the Buddha, with that wisdom and knowledge, because of the body that he's holding, that is relying on, is not permanent. So the body itself is not permanent, but the state of mind itself can go on. So I always feel like, when I was there, I always think of, life is such weird confusion and irony, At times you feel like you have all the world to enjoy all you have, and one moment like this, done. You have to face the death. So I always feel that this is why he say that really, really mindful and take note every minute of your breath to be your last breath, And so in this place, Kushinagar, behind me there is the temple. His body is lying in the coffin for 7 days after he passed away. And because nobody can light up the fire, he told his disciple that I'm going to be cremated. But every time when they light up the fire, doesn't work. And you know why? Because he is waiting for one disciple that comes in right there and do the honor. And that disciple or the Arahat is called Mahakasyapa. Mahakasyapa is the disciplinary master in the whole Arahat community or committee. So Mahakasyapa, when he just arrived, the flame just blazed. And then after the Buddha passed away, after the cremation, the relics is entrusted to a group of lay disciples, but all the kingdoms who have association with the Buddha come rushing to the Kushinagar and start demanding for the relics. So in order to prevent a war from happening, there is a Brahmin who very wise divided the relics into 8 portions to distribute to the 8 different kingdoms. And one portion, which is from the ashes, he gave it to the Shakya kingdom, which is the kingdom where the Buddha comes from. And finally, the remaining ashes that's left from the bucket, the Brahmin actually took it. And why this is very significant in our Buddhist pilgrimage. So what happened is that when all these relics has been housed under the stupa, enshrined in the stupa, hundreds of years later, the remains was dug out again by the Emperor King Ashoka. Now, King Ashoka is a very interesting emperor. At that time, he really conquered the whole world. He conquered the whole world. It feels like anything he can conquer, he conquered it. So at the time, at the war field, he feels that he's just the most outstanding person. He's just so powerful, right? He can give people anything. So what happened is, he saw this old grandmother, and the old grandmother was looking a bit sad. And the King Ashoka was like, well, tell me, what can I give you? I can give you anything. Really anything, so you don't have to be sad at all. And then the grandmother told him, could you give me back the son that has died in this war? So feeling very remorse, very, very remorse, King Ashoka was so burdened by the guilt that all this slaughtering has caused him. But fortunately, he saw a very wise or very peaceful monk walk past. And he asked the monk, what teaching do you practice? He said, I practice the Dharma, the Buddha's teaching. And because of this acquaintance with the monk, he was totally converted into a Buddhist. And after that, he made a big, big vow. He went to dug out all the stupas to get all these relics, and he told himself, I am going to build and spread these relics that I have collected and build 84,000 stupas all around the world so that Buddhism, the Dharma, can flourish. So for the past 3 Buddhist sites, all the Buddhist sites we see, the reason why we can find this site is because of Ashoka built a pillar in every site to indicate where these places and where these locations exactly are during Buddha's lifetime. So King Ashoka decided to build all these pillars, which I will show it to you later on, right? I will show it to you right now. So right now, no, not here, hold on. Sorry, I'll show you at the Lumpini site right now. So then, after the King Ashoka was having so much remorse and built all the stupa, that's how we get to know all the historical site. Now we enter to this temple, which is the Kushinaga temple. Inside the temple, you see something very different from the rest of the temple, because in front of you is where you see the Buddha was lying down, and that is the Mahaparidipana posture. And usually, a lot of people will do the prayers, the reflections in this temple. A lot of monks will stay there doing meditation as well. So basically, everywhere can be a place for meditation. And one of the very important sites in Kushinaga is this part. So you can see this very huge stupa behind me, like a round thing stupa. So that stupa behind me is actually a huge, huge stupa where people generally do it like a circumambulation. So it's a 6 meter, the Buddha was 6 meter long, the Buddha image, but this stupa was 49 feet long, all right? And it's made out of brick. And according to the tradition, that stupa that you see behind me, that is where the Buddha was cremated, the exact spot where the Buddha was cremated. So usually circumambulation is where you guys will know that you have to go 3 rounds around the stupa and then clockwise. And circumambulation is something we do during the pilgrimage as well. It's the act of walking in a circle around an object of veneration. And it's very common for all the Buddhists to do circumambulation. They believe it will cultivate their mind and accumulate merits. And the practice even goes all the way before Buddhism. And it says that when someone does circumambulations, it can use it as a way to purify negative karma and ensure favorable rebirth. So circumambulation, when you do it right intention, you can always do it in the mindfulness around the circumambulation, or you can always use your malas, which is a prayer beads, to chant and go around the stupa when you do the circumambulations. But please take note, always the clockwise. The right side of your shoulder should always point towards the stupa. So that is the right way of the circumambulation. So one of the Tibetan teacher, Lama Zopa, say that if your mind is distracted and you're gossiping while you're circumambulating, then there is no great benefit. So intention is very important when you do the circumambulation, and try to honor the triple gems when you're actually doing the circumambulation. And then lastly, we will be going to the last place of the historical site. We're going to the place where the Buddha was born. You see behind me? That is called the Lumpini. Lumpini right now is not in India anymore. We are right now out of India. We're actually right now in Nepal. So in Nepal, when you see Lumpini behind me, do you see that very nice, like the lake in front of the temple? Well, this is the place where it was said that when Buddha was born, that is the place where he was showered. And Lumpini is famous throughout the world because that is the birthplace of the Buddha. And Lumpini is a place where people feel more aspiring because there's a renewal feeling, being born. It's like being born. And then it's also one of the UNESCO heritage site in 1997. And somehow or other, we know the story that Buddha was born as the prince. So at that time, when the Queen Maya, that's why the temple is called Maya Devi Temple. So the Queen Maya had a dream of a white elephant going into her womb, and she will have this auspicious sign that, she's going to get pregnant. And soon she got pregnant. And at the time she was about to give birth, she actually went all the way back to her mother's house, mother's place to give birth. But in between of the journey, she stopped at this place called Lumpini. And from there, under the tree that the Queen Maya hold, she gave birth to the Buddha. And Buddha at the time was named Siddhartha Gautama. This is the story where they say, the Buddha, immediately after he was born, he stepped on the ground and walked 7 steps. 7 steps, incredibly, with one hand pointing up to the sky and the other finger pointing up to the earth, saying that this will be the last rebirth for me. So I'm going to show you the Ashoka pillar right now. So behind me, you will see the Ashoka pillar. So all the Ashoka pillar will look like this, and because of the pillar like this indicate the places, we have the history to know that this is exactly the location where it happens. And there's a lot of explorer who defy the script that is written down on the pillar that says that really this was all the way 300 BC, that pillar. All right, and I want to show you what's inside right now. So inside the Lumpini is where you will see like archaeological sites from here. Give me a minute. Are you able to see it now? Okay, yes. So inside the temple, it's not even like a temple. It's like an archaeological site. And this is where there are still people digging and finding more proofs and artifacts from here. And one of the artifacts they found was this. They found the Buddha footprint right underneath there. So this is said to be the footprint where the baby stepped on. I'm not too sure how big that footprint is, but it sure doesn't look like a baby footprint. And so Lumpini becomes a place where most of the people will travel from India going across to Nepal and find the birthplace. Now, hold on. And that is the end of our pilgrimage. I just want to say thank you. I just want to take this time, before we end it, we still have 10 minutes, great. Can we have 5 minutes of pilgrimage reflection? Can we invite everyone to share during this pilgrimage, what was something that goes through your mind? Any reflection of it? Please, you can unmute yourself and share. I'm surprised no one asked me a question. Thank you. Anyone want to make any reflection of it? Are you excited to really, after the COVID, to go on a pilgrimage? Anyone? If you want, type yes or no, you know? Okay, so I will share.
Everyone, I can't speak for everyone, Kyle, but I was certainly excited to get out and to virtually go to these old places. And I want to thank you for bringing the past to life. And
thank you.
Not only for taking us to these places, but for connecting us with a bigger cultural, spiritual tradition that maybe many of our guests today might not have connected with before, especially some of the stories and the tales of these places and the activities that occur there. Sometimes it's really easy to forget, especially in Western countries, that there's this huge tradition and that we're connected to that. And I liked especially that you reminded us just how difficult it was for people in the old days who walked all the way to places like Nananda University to learn a bit of Dharma. And how fortunate we are today that we can stay in our houses, turn on our computers, and get taken by our fabulous tour guide to these places.
Thank you. And I see some questions. Carol said, do you give tours? Yes, I do give tours. And I would say that what the tour that we did earlier on for 1.5 hours is really just 2% of what the actual tour is going to bring you, you know. But currently right now, because of COVID situation, I don't think we can do any tours right now. And Samuel says that, hi Samuel, I know who you are. Do you have a favorite place? Yes, I do. Bukhara probably would be the favorite place for everyone and anyone, definitely. But Kushinagar really was the one that captured me. And it was really sad because Kushinagar is a place where people don't usually go. It's always so quiet and nobody bothers to go to Kushinagar at all. They just make their trip to Bukhara and that's it. So I find it quite sad that nobody actually take time to go to Kushinagar, because I thought, for me personally, the hardest thing for me to learn for my Dharma practice is to get over someone who passed away. So I thought that was such an enlightening experience when I'm in Kushinagar. And how long will it take to walk this distance? Oh, darling, with that heat, you know, with that, the road condition. Let me just put it this way, the road condition and the crazy traffic and the honking. I can assure you, mindfully, if you want to do it, probably it will take about 3 to 6 months. And you're talking about doing from Varanasi all the way to Lumpini, if that is the distance you're talking about, right, Ian? Yeah. So then 3 to 6 months. And please prepare a lot of water. But one thing I would like to suggest, Ian, for you is, because I think that you're a very adventurous guy, there are temples around each historical sites where you can live in the temple. So you do not need to book hotels. You can always go to any temples. There is Thai temples, there is Tibetan temple, there is Japanese temple, there's Korean temple, there's Bhutanese temple. Every site, every Buddhist site has a temple. So go in and make an offering so you can stay in the temple. This is what I did when I did my pilgrimage. All right. Any more question? If not, I would like to do a bit of my kind of like reflection. Everyone asks me, so does the Buddha still exist when you do the pilgrimage? I would like to use the quote from the Buddha. The Buddha says, if you see me, you will see my teachings. If you see my teachings, you will see me. So in order to see the Buddha, we have to get into his teachings. And the pilgrimage is not about the destination, it's the journey itself. So I really hope that if anyone is going to do a pilgrimage, really spend some time on your own spiritual journey to observe, put your Dharma practice, like the right speech, the right action, the right thought into that journey, that Noble Eightfold Path into that journey. And that's why I find that pilgrimage is really beautiful, because it trains my mind, elevates my spirits, and also to understand that. Let me just add on one more picture right now. Sorry. Are you able to see the screen right now? Okay, so I want to share this quote. You cannot travel the path. Are you able to see the quote? No. Okay, got it. Are you able to see the quote? Okay, able? Can, okay. You cannot travel the path until you have become the path itself. So that's why pilgrimage is so liberating for me. All right, that's all my reflection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kyle.
Thank you. And I hope everyone have a nice weekend.
I shared a link to Kusala Mag, which is Kyle's magazine that he produces. And it's a wonderful collection of Dhamma, of images, of advice. And I think I remember reading in your environment special, there was a wonderful section about how Buddhist teachings are like reuse, recycle, and reduce. And it was very clever, so I really enjoyed that. And thank you, Kyle, for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge, and for reminding us, especially at the end, that the real pilgrimage, the real journey, is the Eightfold Noble Path. So thank you so much for that good piece of advice. And I really enjoyed your humor, and that you kept giving us little tidbits of information that was really valuable and helped us to understand the Dharma.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhante, for the opportunity. And thank you, everyone, for the kind messages in the chat. Thank you.